Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with a video for you today. About 4 or 5 months ago, I did a video I called Booker Mode, which is basically me reimagining what WCW should have done with the American Dream Dusty Rhodes in the NWO back in 1998. I know I'm a movie channel, and I've been really leaning to wrestling more and more lately, but that's kind of because of the lack of films available right now. I've actually over the last couple of days, I've had a lot of, for some reason, movies wouldn't stream, or they just wouldn't upload, or they wouldn't accept my payment. But for one reason or another, I've had trouble seeing new movies I want to watch lately. So I wanted to get a video out there because there's a lot of stuff, kind of like little things I'm sitting on top of, the little videos I want to do. So I wanted to go ahead and get this Booker Mode video out. This will be my, as I said, second Booker Mode video. Oh, and check this out. My wife got this Rick and Morty thermos thing for me for Father's Day. Super cool. I'm a big fan of the show. That's awesome. I like that. Anyhow, what I want to talk about today was a reimagining, a rebooking of Wrestlemania 15. Wrestlemania 15 happened on March 28th, 1999. It was live from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. No, we're certainly not going to change that. I wanted to, just to let you know how much research I put into this video, I initially wanted to, I reimagined this happening at Lincoln Field until I found out that Lincoln Field didn't exist yet at the time of WrestleMania 15. So, oh well, we won't do that. Anyhow, the reason I'm doing WrestleMania 15 is because the Attitude Era is generally considered by many wrestling fans as the greatest era of WWE, and definitely the greatest wrestling era of pro wrestling, period. I think 1998, across the board, was the greatest year for pro wrestling ever. And it's not just nostalgia. Even going back and looking at it and looking at, the money spoke for itself. But going to WrestleMania 15, we have WWE at its height of popularity, and more importantly, with an opportunity after a so-so Starrcade, a Starrcade that didn't live up to the hype of what Starrcade should be. In December, they had an opportunity to really, blow everybody out of the water with WrestleMania 15. The problem is they had short-sighted writer Vince Russo at the helm. Now, I'm not saying Vince Russo never did anything of worth. I'm just saying Vince Russo was short-sighted. He was a guy who planned 3 weeks ahead, at most. Meaningless title changes. He was more about moments than story. And I think with proper story, your moments can mean so much more. So, there are 10 matches at WrestleMania 15. And just to kind of get you through what I'm going to reframe, because I'm changing the entire card. Building the card from scratch. Nothing that happened at the real WrestleMania, WrestleMania 15 happens at my show I'm developing now. So to tell you what happened that year, I'm not running through their card. You go look it up on Google. or Wikipedia, or whatever, or watch a fucking highlight reel on YouTube or some shit. But to me, other than the main event, Stone Cold and The Rock, and the European title match between Shane McMahon and X-Pac, nothing about the show really was that great or stand out or terrific. We had 2 disqualifications, a Hell in a Cell match, which could possibly be considered as the worst WrestleMania match of all time, and a fucking human sacrifice. 2 of them, if you count the kayfabe one. I'm of course talking about Bart Gunn being fed to Butterbean. So this is what I would have done ground up. There were 10 matches that night in Philadelphia, so I've rebooked 10 matches. Please just bear with me. Please watch the whole video. Leave a like, or if you're not going to watch the whole video, just, X out now, but still leave a like. Anyhow, the opening match is a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. By the way, I'm going to address all championships and all champions of this time going to WrestleMania. That's why however, I will get Dwayne Gilbert out of the way. He was the light heavyweight champion going into WrestleMania 15 at the end of 98. And even though I'm going to change some of the things about 1998, late 98 and stuff like that, for the sake of whatever disinterest, I'll keep it there because the WWE didn't really have a light heavyweight division like WCW had a cruiserweight division. So we'll just leave this comedy in the comedy post, and while he is an official champion, he's nowhere near our WrestleMania. So the opening match is a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. Ken Shamrock, who is still Intercontinental Champion after winning a tournament in the fall, defends against Goldust and Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett has his carryover valet from WCW, Deborah, with the puppies and everything. Yeah, it's still that gimmick. In his corner, and Goldust would have Alicia, not Ryan Shamrock, now pretending to be Ken Shamrock's sister. It's his real life girlfriend, so just bring her in as his kayfabe girlfriend, but has betrayed him and joined up with Goldust, and just use her real name, Alicia. This would kind of make, because with, Shamrock being a member of the corporation and Jeff Jarrett being a prude, this would make Goldust the spatter ass, womanizer, sexual deviant in the Attitude Era. Especially, this would make him the de facto babyface. The finish would come where Jeff Jarrett is up in the ropes. He gets hit with Shattered Dreams, but that takes him out of play. Shamrock gets him on the ground, locks him up in the ankle lock, and Goldust would eventually tap out with Shamrock retaining the Intercontinental Championship and a hard-fought, wild, insane, perverted triple threat opener. Now, I will say that I know Ken Shamrock, they like to switch titles all over the place at this time, but I don't think Ken Shamrock should have ever lost the Intercontinental title. I really think he should have chased Honky Tonk Man's record, but there were no real long title runs in that era in WWE. Anyway, next up we have a 6-man tag team match. It would be the Brood, Gangrel, Edge, and Christian taking on the team of the Mean Street Posse, Joey Abs, Pete Gas, and Rodney, with Shane McMahon and Test both in their corner. This would basically be a squiggity squash match. A lot of people look down and make fun of the Mean Street Posse now, but they're actually over, and that's what I think, more than anything else, where when I was younger, I really thought it was really cool that, I thought it would have been cool if I definitely supported the idea of getting behind the roster and trying to put something for everybody on the card at WrestleMania. But at the same time, in the era of modern times, or as recent as a year ago, where you have as many as 160 people on the roster, and you want to get everybody something for WrestleMania weekend, yeah, sure, that's nice, but it ultimately ends up in too many short multi-man matches and just too much forgettableness to really justify itself. So, for the sake of this video, I'm really trying to stick to people who were over in 1998. If you really had a great year between last year's WrestleMania and this year's WrestleMania, or in case there's something we really want to do with you in the future, that's coming up later, this is what I'm doing. So the Brood squashes the Mean Street Posse after a sweet impaler DDT on Pete Gas, and the Brood win. If you hear loudness, I don't know if it's picking up. If you hear loudness, it's just because I got kids. Everything's good. I just have loud kids. Anyhow, oh my gosh, alright, 10 minutes. Anyhow, after the match, the Mean Street Posse, the corporation, would try to get their heat back by Test going to jump them. The Brood would evade some destruction. Lights would go out, lights would come back up, the Brood would be gone, and Shane McMahon would be hit with the bloodbath. Backstage, would have to have a segment with Shane McMahon demanding, like, Jerry Briscoe or Pat Patterson give him his suit. Without wiping the blood off his face or off his hair or anything, he still changed his suit jacket. Next up is a fatal 4-way match for the Hardcore title. Now, Mick Foley is still, Mankind is the inaugural Hardcore champion. They gave him this belt and everything to be his trophy championship. But at the previous pay-per-view, the February In Your House, in a 1-on-3, 3-on-1 handicap match, Foley would lose the title by being pinned by the Big Boss Man in a match where he has to also fight Ken Shamrock and Test, all taking on the corporation of odds. Now Big Boss Man is Hardcore champion. In my world. In this match, he's taken in a fatal 4-way, he's defending the title against Steve Blackman, real life badass, Al Snow, genuine hardcore legend and super crazy guy who would have head in his corner, the mannequin head, and Bart Gunn, because Bart Gunn, when a genuine real life tough man competition on the show, instead of giving him a cardiectomy and sacrificing him to the sun like a fucking Mayan, maybe you give the guy a moment at WrestleMania. So we had this fatal 4-way hardcore match, which would just be a good 7 or 8 minutes of just madness and crazy and fun and laughs, which would ultimately come down with Al Snow would hit his guillotine leg drop on Big Boss Man and put the mannequin head on top of Boss Man where he fought off the other two guys. The referee would count the 3 count anyways and award Al Snow the Hardcore Championship. I just think that would be funny. It was the Hardcore title should have always been a comedy gimmick, even though I think the 24/7 rule ultimately kind of did no favors. Next up, I would do a tag team match. This tag team match would be a big door opener for your more perverted grotesquerie. Is that a word? I don't think so. Russo-esque shit. We would have the tag team of Val Venus and the Godfather taking on D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry. The whole deal with this would be you'd really have D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry. They'd be the no-nonsense bullshit heels, ready to go in there and kick some ass, but Val Venus and Godfather would really try to get under their skin and mess with them. You'd have to have Val Venus cut a line, make a gag in his opening, saying how, despite Mark Henry is one of the biggest men in the world, and I'm still bigger than you, kind of thing. Whatever. It would be a funny match in the build, in the promos, and these guys can play off some fun. And the finish would basically be a big splash. Mark Henry, Val Venus pins him, and the heels go over. Turn that down! Butt munch. Up next, going into WrestleMania, the Big Show, Paul White, formerly known as Giant WCW, had joined WWE. Now, where he was used in WrestleMania 15 was just a travesty. Put in a match to decide who would become the guest referee in the main event of the night, which ended in DQ, and neither man ended up refereeing the main event. So it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It was a pointless match, and that's a damn shame. So what we'll do instead is in your St. Valentine's Massacre at In Your House February. The Big Show would make his debut. He'd come out. He'd cut a promo. He'd be in a nice suit. He'd talk stuff. He cut a nice, eloquent promo, not scream. Talk about his world-class athlete, and he wants to fight world-class competition. And he would be jumped by Kane. Yes, it would build up to Big Show versus Kane at WrestleMania 15 for the first time. It would be a big, massive brawl, Hulk's fight. JR could hype it as Worlds Collide. But ultimately, yeah, Big Show has to go over in his first match in the company. He would chokeslam Kane and get the pinfall. And by the way, it's important to point out here, Kane would be solid, dead to rights babyface in the storyline, because in our timeline, he never joins the corporation, because I never thought that really. Why would he join the corp? It doesn't really make sense for him. So, yeah, we're not doing that. But Big Show wins. Up next, we have, okay, now, in September of 98, WWE brought back the Women's Championship after being gone for nearly 3 years. The match was decided that Jacqueline won against Sable, and she was champion. They never really traded the women's title with any prestige or build. So instead of any of that happening, no women's title return in the fall of 98. So instead what we have is the women's title was brought back by Commissioner Shawn Michaels going to WrestleMania 15. What we're going to have is a six-pack challenge, elimination match to determine the women's champion. First one in over 3 years. And you put, the women would be, sorry, scatterbrained. You put in the match, Sable, Chyna, Ivory, Tori, I got it written down here, why am I not looking? Luna Vachon, did I say Tori? Ivory, wait, what? I don't know. Oh, Chyna, Sable, Jacqueline, Luna, Ivory, and Tori. But going into this match, Jacqueline would have Terry in her corner, and only Chyna and Sable would be the baby faces. Now, I know that Chyna was a little green at this time, and Sable never really was very good in the ring. But between the other 4 women, Jacqueline, Tori, Ivory, and Luna, all 4 of them have over a decade of experience in the ring. But so I think they could really do a great job with carrying these girls and making them look good. You would have Chyna eliminate like 3 girls out the bat. You know, boom, 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 like powerbomb, Samoan drop, DDT, pedigree, maybe even just knock some girls out. Eventually, the last 2 girls kind of gang up on her, who would be Ivory and Jacqueline, both heels. They would gang up on Chyna and cause like a bit of a double team. Now, you have Jacqueline just take punishment down to her and Ivory, but she keep fighting back, kind of getting the support of the crowd. Jacqueline would go for a suplex from the outside to the inside of the ring. We'll have her own manager, Terry, trip her up, Bobby Heenan style. Ivory fall and Jacqueline get the pinfall. Terry would betray Jacqueline, turning Jacqueline officially babyface, and having Ivory walk out with Terry a new union, as well as Ivory becoming the Undisputed Women's Champion. That's what I do with that. I know it's not magical, it's not original, but it would be, at least it would bring back the Women's Championship with respect, where even though down the line, if you want to do stuff like bra and panties matches and shit like that, at least you could always still say, at least they brought it back with a good match. At least a match that they took seriously. Next up is probably the most outlandish thing I'm going to say in this. Alright. We're calling this a special attraction match. Owen Hart versus Kurt Angle. This would start at the Royal Rumble, where Owen Hart would call out Kurt Angle, would be in the front row, and start picking on him and stabbing at him, attack him straight up, eventually. And this would build to a match, a special attraction match, at WrestleMania 15, Owen Hart versus Kurt Angle in his home state of Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is not a state. Now, I know what you're saying, Kurt Angle didn't debut for the company until November that year, but the thing is, Kurt Angle had signed with the company in August of 1998. Now, considering like basic training is like 2 weeks, you can get somebody in game shape to go fight on the other side of the planet to die, but you can't get Kurt Angle in condition to have a good 10-minute match with Owen Hart in 8 months. I don't believe that. I just don't believe it. Anyhow, that's what we're doing. It's going to be Owen Hart versus Kurt Angle. Owen Hart's going to throw him around. He's gonna outclass him. Kurt is eventually gonna take it down to wrestling, get him on the mat, hold him down, a classic finger hold grip, and just get the win. After the match, let Owen get his heat back, throw him into the steps, throw him to the barricade. In the segment with the Pennsylvania crowd really raining down some heat on Owen Hart. But it would still be a great moment. I know it feels forced. It doesn't really go along with what I was saying about, you get over in '98, you get a match at WrestleMania. But come on, you tell me you don't want to see Owen Hart versus Kurt Angle, and considering what happened in real life just a few months later, this is the only chance for that to have ever possibly happened. So let's just move on. Next up is a personal favorite, and yeah, I guess another out there kind of thing. Look, we've had all kinds of insane matches at WrestleMania over the years. We've had Money in the Bank, we've had Hell in a Cell. They have their own pay-per-views. We have TLC, it has its own pay-per-view. We've had Fatal 4-Ways. It had a pay-per-view, but it doesn't matter. So I would have the only ever Survivor Series match in WrestleMania history right here on this show. It would have been the Generation X, which is Team Captain Triple H, the European Champion X-Pac, and the Tag Team Champions New Age Outlaws Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg, taking on the Ministry of Darkness, which is the Undertaker, the Acolytes, Bradshaw and Farouk, and Viscera. Now, I know, thinking of the Undertaker during his streak, the streak wasn't really quite the streak yet, and at the same time, he wasn't in his best game shape at this time, to be completely honest. That's why he sat out WrestleMania the next year. And what I'm giving here, right here, is a whole lot better than the Hell in a Cell match he had with Big Boss Man. I'd kick it off with let me just get this off my damn screen and bye. Okay. I would kick it off with X-Pac hits the X Factor on Viscera right away, knocking him out in the first few seconds because Viscera sucks. He's gone, but he's still better than Medium. Really show off how badass the Acolytes are. Clothesline from Hell takes out Billy Gunn. The Dominator takes out Road Dogg. Triple H, get him over. Really build him up as a big future star because he was going to be the breakout star later that year. Back-to-back pedigrees eliminate Bradshaw, then Farouk. But before they leave ringside, they hit him with a spike pile driver. Farouk coming off the apron, hitting with Bradshaw onto the exposed floor after pulling up the mat. Count out. Triple H is gone. This leaves X-Pac versus The Undertaker. X-Pac is valiant, but a tombstone seals the deal on The Undertaker as the sole survivor in this Survivor Series match, the only Survivor Series match ever at WrestleMania. Next up, the WWF Championship match. It's the semi-main event, and you're going to find out why in a minute. But, okay, in real life, on January 4th, 1999, the day the channels changed, Mankind, Mick Foley, won the WWF Championship against The Rock. Just to lose it and win it back later that month, to win it back and lose it again the next month. We're not going to do that. Now, I know it's a great, great, great moment in the history of pro wrestling. Let's give Mick Foley what he deserves. And our storyline, Mick Foley was part of the corporation, lost to The Rock after being screwed over in the finals of Survivor Series. Like what really happened, that's okay. He's hardcore champion, that's okay. He gets screwed over in a rematch or whatever at Rock Bottom, that's cool. He does not fight at the Royal Rumble. Instead, you have The Rock fight Triple H at the Royal Rumble because they had one of the best feuds of 1998. Give Triple H that spot. Triple H Rock have a good WWF title match at the Rumble, while Mick Foley wins the Royal Rumble like he deserved to. At In Your House, St. Valentine's Massacre, he loses the hardcore title in the 3-on-1 handicap match we talked about earlier with the Big Boss Man, which leads to this, which is made an I Quit match. Now, in the real I Quit match they had, let's just not have Dwayne Johnson actually getting carried away and almost murdering Mick Foley in front of his children. Let's not do that. Instead, we'll have a solid I Quit match back and forth. The finish would come. The Rock wants to put Mick Foley through with a rock bottom through the announce table. Mick Foley gets him in the mandible claw. The Rock does a back body drop through the announce table behind him, and he thinks he's clean. But before either man can get up, another mandible claw, a mandible? Another mandible claw, and eventually The Rock has to say, I quit. And Mankind is finally WWF champion. He wins the Royal Rumble. He wins the WWF title at WrestleMania like he deserves to do. And with the mild controversy of, I got fingers down my throat. I wasn't audible. How do you know I say I quit? This could set up to a last man standing or ladder rematch at Backlash where they could have the proper main event where Mick Foley wins the main event to really kind of push his title reign through the summer on. Because the truth is, Austin didn't really need to be champ again yet. Which leads to the main event of the night. A Hell in a Cell match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. It's weird. Vince McMahon didn't think he was worthy enough to be on the card in '99. But I do. And I hate Vince McMahon. The Hell in a Cell match should have been career versus career. At the most profitable storyline, longest running feud, greatest feud WWE ever had, should have culminated with a main event match at WrestleMania. Loser leaves the company. That's the rule. Nothing more than that. You can have Shawn Michaels on commentary if you want. By the way, no bullshit. Jim Ross gets fired like 2 weeks before, and then just comes back and calls the main event. Jim Ross calls WrestleMania 15 with Jerry Lawler, and we can bring out Shawn Michaels for the main event. The Hell in a Cell will be brutal. And it would basically just be Stone Cold whipping his ass. All your corporate motherfuckers that interfere, the Stooges, Tez, Shane. The finish would come along the lines of both men are on the side of the cage. Stone Cold would knock Vince's face into the cage, sending falling backwards, crashing through the other announce table, taking him out of commission. But now, to win the match, Austin got to get him back in the ring. This is when the Big Show would hit the ring. Big Show would bounce Stone Cold all over the place, hit him with a chokeslam, pure in the middle of the ring, go back out of the cage, go around to the announce tables, pick up Vince McMahon like a child across his shoulder, carry him back, put him on the mat, and then DX would hit the ring. All 5 members of DX, including Chyna, they would fight off the Big Show, fight him off, get him out of the ringside, and it would just be Vince and Stone Cold alone in the ring, but Vince would crawl over, slowly crawl, put his hand over, at the 3, right before 3, Stone Cold kicks out, Stone Cold Stunner, second Stone Cold Stunner, Stone Cold would win, Vince would leave the company for a while. Of course, Vince may have never actually leave WWE, but, you know, it would be a good storyline just for a few months. It would be a far more proper send-off and finale to their year-long rivalry than just stretching out another few months, than trying to reignite it, and just never having a proper send-off to any of it. That's the problem with all these long-running storylines in pro wrestling over the years, is because they got so obsessed with trying to cash in on that money, they either ended the feuds too soon, or they stretched them out way too long. Anyhow, I hope you guys like this. I do still want to do my retro review for Jurassic Park. I haven't said it, but that's what I'm trying to do. But I gotta sit down and rewatch it. There's a trilogy of director videos doing top 5s. There's a horror movie franchise top 5 I want to do, and there's other request videos I want to get to as well. And I will also be doing a July old school pay-per-view review. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go for an ECW thing, since I haven't seen a lot of ECW, the truth is. Most of my exposure to their brand is purely from WWE Network. Anyway, I guess I'll go help my wife with these screaming, insane children. I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly.